We still do 7 NUFC Matters show a week for free. But if you want to help support NUFC Matters, then there are a few ways of doing it. Hit the like button on each live broadcast and video. This helps the channel grow. Hit the subscribe button and select the all notifications bell so you don't miss a single show. If you want to help us financially, then you can join the channel using this button with the membership starting at $1.99 a month. Or you can drop us a donation in the chat using a super sticker. We're also looking for sponsors. If you'd like your brand advertised on the flyers for the show and featured during the ad break, then email john@nufcmatters.com to arrange today.
Critics attack. It feels like I've been talking to myself again. But it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you. If I don't say the words, then maybe it's not true.
And it feels alright when they come and say to you, you're the only thing that makes us all believe. And it feels alright where the worlds collide. Manipulation stands to make us break.
What's that coming over you? You wish it upon a star. You wish it on a star. You are, you are, you are. You fight back, it's an all-out attack.
Good evening and welcome to NUFC Matters with me, Steve Wraith. It is the return of Geordies here. Geordies there. It's been an in and out season for us because of different things, fixtures and personal lives, etc. But we're back with this show, which is one of those long-standing shows which we all enjoy getting together midweek. No professionals this week, so it means you still get your fix of Stu and Mitch. But welcome to everybody, and we've got Tom who has got to go, Toon man Tom, quite quickly, so he's only with us for a short period of time, so I've put him in George's esteemed position, we're going to have a chat about Anthony Gordon, because we haven't been live since the Anthony Gordon contract was announced, and that follows quite quickly on the back of Dan Burns' contract automatically being renewed for another season. So yeah, good news, Tom, and just your views on Anthony Gordon finally signing that new deal.
Yeah, well, first shout out to Big Dan Byrne. Love to see that. He belongs at the club. I heard he's going to get some his coaching certificate too. We started that route, so good to see it for Dan. As far as Anthony, what can I say? He is such. I want to call out right now that I was very much against getting him from Everton. He was just, I thought, the complete ass at Everton, and how wrong I was. He's a class act. I tell you, he interviews so well. He's intelligent. He obviously loves Newcastle. He loves the club. He loves the gaffer. He loves the style of play. And most important, he loves Geordies. So his video that came out this week that they released, a day in the life, wow. It put a little tear to my eye, to be honest, how much he generally seems to be enjoying the club in the area. He's such an authentic person. You can tell that there's no airs about him. He's very authentic, not only in his relations with the fans, but in the media, which is kind of refreshing. Usually when stars get interviewed and you hear kind of the canned responses, well, he tells it like he really feels. And I really like him for that. As far as his performance on the pitch, it's not been the best of starts for Anthony, but I think a lot of that has to do with the formation and really Wilson not being available. We didn't do much over the summer, as everybody knows. It was kind of a catastrophe, and in a lot of ways, ending with Bruno being made captain. At some point, I'd like to talk about that because I was the one who said he was a little bit too emotionally mature for that. But we're struggling up front, and whether it's the personnel, which I don't know if Eddie knows what his best front four is, or front three. I include Almiron and Barnes in that. Or whether he needs to refresh the formation, because the summer made us stale. We have the same people in the same positions playing in the same formation. So we are easily found out with that. So you either need to change personnel, or you need to change the formation, or you need to do something a little bit different. And I don't think we have. So we had a lot of chances last week. It's not all doom and gloom. We're playing better football right now. But I think when Wilson comes back, that'll actually improve the performance of Anthony Gordon. I really do. I think that he adds a whole lot of physicality to the middle of the pitch that Isaac and Gordon, when he plays the number 9, can't do that. So once Eddie gets his roster back, and I think Wilson will be a major contributor. Maybe Osala can have more time too, but I think with Wilson coming back, that probably precludes that. I think we should be able to get some good performances in, and I look forward to Anthony Gordon really starting to hit the ground running. I think he says he'll play any place across the front. He just likes to play, but every one of us on here thinks that he's best at the left. And I think that once he gets in that position, gets familiar players around him, and Eddie tweaks with the formation at times, that he's going to take off. So I'm looking for him to be double figures in goals this year, and I don't think the slow start's going to stop that from happening.
Want to thank you for running the watch along, Tom, on Big Up, and I'm actually on Big Up, www.bigup.com/NUFC Matters at 7:05 tonight with Joe Allen. But thank you for doing the watch along. I mean, great for you, I guess, to be able to do it. Did you enjoy doing it, Tom?
Well, I did. I set myself up to fail because it was the first one that I was doing. I was a little nervous. Everybody, it's hard to fathom how much Steve does to coordinate this show and to manage the schedule of the show and bring everybody into it, and of course make it enjoyable for everybody to listen to. So I set myself up to fail. I was worried that I wouldn't be as good as Steve, so I had my good friend Malcolm Holiday from Toon Army, Minnesota, beside me to help me do that. And we did it in a pub in downtown Minneapolis that was way too noisy. I needed to do it alone with earbuds, but I didn't. So it had a tough time listening to the other guests that were on there, which were Barry Hogan and Magnus Tindry, who cracking lads. I mean, we had a really good time. It was a lot of fun, but it was very stressful for yours truly as trying to manage everything. So I salute Steve. Thank you for everything you do. And I have a newfound respect for Steve Ray.
No, thank you, mate. Thanks for your kind words. It is easy. Just practice makes perfect, Tom. That's what I'm going to say. So don't put yourself down. Very difficult to sit in a hot seat. Not many people would try it, and you volunteered to do it without me even asking anybody. So I will try and do another watch along at some point this season for the next couple of away games. I'm going to Chelsea. I'll be at Forest as well, so I won't be able to do it. But as always, I will invite you along, Tom, to take your other seat in the chat. I'm going to let you go because you were away on business. You may have your background there, but it's disguising where you really are. Good luck with whatever you're doing, mate, and thanks for joining us tonight, Tom.
Thanks, everybody. Cheers. Have a good day.
See you, Tom.
Yeah, bye-bye, mate. Bye-bye. Great guy, Tom. And don't forget Minnesota Mags on Facebook if you want to go and follow his page. So, Mitch, yeah, Anthony Gordon. I mean, it was a Willy Wondy. He was going to Liverpool, and he wasn't playing well because his mind was on moving to Liverpool. I think that all of those kind of stories and all that speculation's simply been shot down in flames with what we've witnessed over the last 36 hours.
All now been debunked, really, and it's quite clear. He's made it quite clear that there was not a thing he could do or say about it while they were still discussing things. I think my take on Gordon is we signed him as a boy and we're watching him become a man. I defy anybody not to watch the two videos out, the day in the life of Anthony Gordon today, and one with the interview about the new contract. and not get misty-eyed for a number of reasons. One, because of the authenticity and the care and the love that he has for the club and the fans, but also pride that we've got somebody like that representing us in the dressing room. And if that's the calibre of individual and the development of individual that's going on behind the scenes, and the people coming in will be like that, the future looks very bright indeed. I think he comes across as totally authentic. I think he comes across as brutally honest. We knew over the summer that the treatment that he had by Southgate was what was upsetting him the most. And we knew he was in regular communication with Eddie Howe. We talked about it regularly enough. And he opens up in those interviews about how physically and mentally he was drained by that treatment, and he arrived back really not ready for the new season, and that was clear. So thanks for that, Gareth, you dick. We didn't get back what we sent. And how many times do we say that about international football? Yeah. Unfortunately. And also, it's quite clear his commitment has been to Newcastle United all along. And being unable to speak about it must have been a frustration. And for all you can say, it doesn't bother you. Whilst it's frustrating you, it's effectively going to impact on your day-to-day. The lad's only human, really. But quite clear that what he's become in his relatively short time at Newcastle is way more than the individual that we signed. Not just as a player, but especially as a person. I haven't seen an interview with him where I haven't been impressed. I haven't seen an interview where I thought he'd come across as anything other than a very authentic and honest individual who probably wears his heart on his sleeve a bit too much. Interesting how he also compares his upbringing in Liverpool to his attitude and his mentality, and how he feels that fits in the Northeast. And it's interesting that many of the people that come to Newcastle and develop a quick affinity with Newcastle are people who, like Rafa, he didn't need to be told about it. He got it straight away. A good friend of mine who my dad knows very well, Tim Gleave, came to university, ended up marrying my mate's sister and staying as a Newcastle fan, and he was an Evertonian. Well, when he arrived in Newcastle, and he's now still in Newcastle with his Geordie family, and is a Newcastle man through and through. And there seems to be a genuine connection for all. I think some of the fans would not like to admit that we do get it, and they get the Northeast and they get the passion in Newcastle very, very much. And so there's no wonder he slipped in very, very well. But to have somebody like that in the dressing room going forward, and you have to think, you look at how he interacts with the other players as well in some of those videos that have been released recently. And I think, there's no doubt potential for Jack Captain for me, going on the trajectory he's on. But let's not run before we walk. He's now in a position where everything's settled, everything's sorted. He's back from the latest round of internationals, so hopefully we get the benefit of that going forward now.
Yes, let's hope so. Don't forget, halfway through the show, after the ads, we'll do Ask George. Anyone's got a question for George, stick them in the chat. I'll keep an eye out for them, and we'll ask George after the break. So, George, Anthony Gordon signed new contracts. Happy with that?
Happy, delighted, over the moon. All the adjectives you want to pick, go with that. And hands up, like somebody else said in the chat, that when we bought him, I wasn't sure, because stuck in my memory was the last time he came with Everton, and he's tried to cause a ruckus in the Gallagher corner with Trippier, and it looked rather difficult. Looked like he was just a nasty little boy. Well, wasn't that wrong? How wrong could we be? And as Neil said and Tom said, every time I see him, he impresses me, and on every level. There's only one thing better than listening to your own people saying how brilliant it is where we live and all the rest of it. is to hear somebody from the other side of the country saying it. And Anthony Gordon says it all the time. And it's nice to see the egg on the face time for all the well-known journalists who kept pushing the Liverpool angle and pushing this and pushing that. And that came to a head for me today because I was watching, I don't watch it very often, but there was a bit of Talk Sport on, and they were talking about Anthony Gordon. And Simon Jordan was on, and he got lambasted by the host, the guy White, and Danny Mills, because they took Jordan to task for saying when he left Everton that he was a rat leaving a single ship. He was a turncoat, a traitor, and all that sort of thing. And Jordan saying, "Well, I didn't say that." No, so came the bit of video where he was actually saying it. It was lovely. It was lovely to see him. Yeah, you're choking on his own words. That's absolutely great. Couldn't happen to a nicer fella. No, I'm words are insufficient. And as far as Neil's saying about how else he could be involved in the club, if anybody has any youngsters who are thinking they're coming to Newcastle United and are having any doubts, God, they should show them those two videos. Better still, take them up to Benton and let him have a chat with Anthony Gordon, because he could sell anything. He could sell ice cubes to the Eskimos the way he's talking at the moment. It's absolutely fantastic. Couldn't be better. And yeah, he's had a difficult start, but again, Neil nailed it. It's based on the treatment he got by Southgate. He was treated like a pariah almost. Now, I've got a sneaking fancy, of course, because he's an honest lad and straightforward. He probably had some things to say in the dressing room about it, and that wouldn't go down well with Gordon, with Southgate, and that's probably cost him. You know, it really, really is sad the way he was treated, and the fact that he had to talk to his own manager to get some of that out of his skin tells you an awful lot about him. Tells you an awful lot about Southgate as well, and his team, how useless they were in certain areas. And yeah, I mean, Anthony Gordon's there for a long time and a long bit. And I'll be honest, it would delight me if he was the one that broke the scoring record again. That would be fantastic, wouldn't it? I mean, and he's got the potential because he can score from either side. He's right foot or left foot. He can header. He can stick it in the back of the net. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the next few seasons with Anthony Gordon running riot against all sorts of people. And well done, the club signing him up, because if we couldn't sign Anthony Gordon and keep him, how the heck are we going to be world number one? How we're going to be number one in England, never mind in the world? So that the owners are showing that true metal and getting them the right people on contract, and that includes Dan Burn. It's nice to have a solid, very solid Geordie presence in the dressing room as well. So yeah, great, Steve. Couldn't be happier.
Yeah, same question to you, Stu. We spent most of the summer talking about will he stay or will he go? So, it's just great. And again, the club have done it in their own imitable way with a really well put together video. And congratulations again to Newcastle. The PR and the stuff that comes out of the club, the video, the team, and all of that deserve a big pat on the back, because I think the stuff that they produce is quality these days. I mean, bearing in mind we've come from nothing to what we've got in such a short space of time. But again, the day in the life of Anthony Gordon, I loved it. It was great. Well, great to see him sign a new contract, mate.
Yep. Well, with George shouting funny on Friday, Mitch talking saying Dick today. Now you're saying will he stay or will he not?
It's an X-rated podcast, this, mate.
I know. I feel like it's NUFC anatomy show. What's going on here?
Keep your head, Stu. Keep your head.
Right. Well, hey. Right. Before I start, I better show you. As you know, Steve, I was with you at the weekend. Yes. And I come home knowing that there's going to be a Christmas tree, etc. It's still October, but Christmas tree's gone. Can you believe that? I've now got a Halloween tree. Don't know if you can see.
Spooky. Brilliant. Your signal's gone a bit there. We can't really hear what you're saying. I don't know why, but the Halloween tree, we can see it. It's actually frozen on the Halloween tree. So maybe there's been some kind of spooky intervention at your end. because you were showing us it. Maybe you're not allowed to show us the tree. Maybe that's why
Did you
you
see it or not?
disappeared. Well, we've seen it. What happened was there was a spooky intervention. You basically turned to the tree, and then it basically froze, and we couldn't hear a word you were saying. So it was as if a
All right, well, I
poltergeist
showed the tree.
had invaded it.
What I was explaining, it's got like feet on it, spiders, webs, and skeletons, and you name it. So that was what Mrs. P was up to whilst I was having to drink lots of alcohol in Newcastle.
So she wasn't
so anyway,
based that time.
Yeah, back to Anthony Gordon. And the two videos that Mitch referred to, I think we've all watched it. Gordon's very aware of his current form. And it appears he's his own biggest critic. For me, that bodes well. It shows that excellence is his target, and he won't be satisfied until he achieves it consistently. And from the second video, I can't wait for him to score so he can do that roly-poly celebration that he promised the young lad that he would do. What you take from what we already know, we discussed it on Sunday. I think I once again put my head above the parapet and said that his contract was done, all barring the announcement, and we've got that now. But he's proud, he's focused, he's talented, he's driven. And what George referred to earlier is when he stood up against what was known as the Geordie Wall that season that we got the Champions League. It proved that he was a shithouse, but one with talent. And he's now our shithouse, and we should all be grateful for that. And long may it continue. He is unique, and he's built. And I'm going to say this without any Finbar Saunders finars. I would like them to see him open his legs more and run down that wing, as the song says. You know, we know that he cuts inside a bit more. No, you didn't. There's a story behind that as well. But we were saying on Saturday that we don't want him to become too predictable. And it'd be lovely to be an old-fashioned way. I just get the ball, knock it 40 yards ahead, and have a foot race with the defender, because he'll win it 9 times out of 10. And that's exactly what he's capable of. And as George said, he can hit the ball with his left foot, his right foot. The only issue is if he does that, then we need someone to be able to keep up with him for the balls that are getting crossed in. But for something that we've referenced for months now, some feel-good factor with his announcement. And we've had Bruno's announcement, we've had Joe Linton's announcement, we've had that Dan Burns been tied up. I would think Isaac should be the next one, and it would be good personally for Shaw Longstaff to get tied up, even if it's just to avoid him going for free, because for those who knock him, you try and replace him. And I know we briefly touched it on Sunday, Steve, but if you look at the results this season with him in the team and without him in the team, then I think it's 3 wins and a draw with him, and it's no wins and 2 draws and 2 defeats without him. I'm not sure. It's roughly like that. But even if it's just to protect the sell-on fee, we will advance. I'm not advocating that Longstaff should stay and play every game. What I'm saying, he's a valuable member of the squad, and he should be treated that way. But back to Anthony Gordon, he is one of our crown jewels. He's one of the 3 or 4 that we can't afford to lose. And, 1, 2, 3 of them now have all signed up long-term. And I think once we get Isaac, everyone now knows where they are. They're all showing commitment, and then the press can stop with the stupid rumours, because the players have shown that they want to stay with this club, and they believe that this club is going in the direction of winning trophies and sustaining long-term success, and that should give us all a warm feeling inside.
Certainly should. Mark Byers, speaking of ghosts, stealing the squad have had a visit from the ghost of Lee Clark's career past, which might explain them all going to pieces in the box now. And of course, his nickname was Jigsaw, of course. Yeah. Our lead, Anthony Gordon, has signed a new contract. Are you happy?
Of course, he's a great player. You always can count on him. He gives 100% on the field every game. And he have a huge future. He's still young, and actually, I like him since he was in Everton. He was really. I was happy that he went to Newcastle, and hopefully. But for me, I always not much enthusiasm with with the recontracting or improve the contract. I always want the players in general to put more effort and win something for the club. After that, you can improve whatever you want.
Yeah, well, I'm delighted that he signed a new contract. Of course, it's hopefully just means he can concentrate on doing what he does best, which is play well for Newcastle United. And congratulations to Denise. We talked about this at the weekend. We've given Denise a spanner, so she is now one of our new moderators. Is joining the likes of Jules and Mozza and Tom.
Great.
Great.
Esteemed company.
Yes,
Esteemed company.
esteemed company, no doubt about it. And a big thank you to Don as well, who's chucked 20 quid into the Malverno Fund. He said it's for all your hard work and Stu's Jaeger bombs. Thank you very much. Well, that'll go into the next time we all meet, which won't be Christmas because unfortunately Stu has other engagements, but we will get together at some point, and that will go towards the fund, which is great. Thank you very much. Now there is an old chat which an old part of the show that we used to do on this show. So I'm going to bring it in because we've got a couple of minutes before we go to the ads. And if you've got your first Toon match at hand, send them to the Facebook group or the Facebook page. Just search NUFC Matters. You'll be able to find them both. Or at Steve Wraith on X. And just send us a couple of lines about your first game at Newcastle United, and we'll feature it on this section on this show. My first Toon match, and that music will have blown a few TV speakers off the walls. But we have found a few of these. Jimmy sent me this ages ago, last year, in fact. My first game was Wimbledon on the 6th of February, 1988. And Vinnie Jones created a famous photo when he grabbed Gaza, you know what. He says, I won the ticket from BBC Newcastle, and the host was Barry Heinsohn. Radio Newcastle have cost me lots of money and tears. But there we go, Jimmy. Thank you for that. And if you've got your first match, send it over to us, and we will play this annoying piece of music. And John in the chat just says, take the spanner off Barry Hogan. He's always drunk. But that joke is still going on. Just answering you, Barry, as well, just before we go to the ads. Look, I didn't watch Liam's podcast last night with Keith, as I would expect it would be a really good one because, Keith, as we know, comes on this channel, always has come on this channel, very loyal to us. Pops onto Loaded as well. Was on the Geordie Journos last night. I haven't had time to watch it. I've been busy today. But, I can imagine Keith was great. But whatever Keith feels about somebody is not my opinion or this channel's opinion. I don't know what he said about Ben Jacobs, and I certainly can't comment on it, Barry, because I haven't watched the podcast. But as you will all know, Ben, when he's free, is somebody who I'm always willing to have on this channel. I know what Ben's opinion was about the Saudis and the takeover, pre-takeover. Me and Mitch and Stu and Steve Hasty talked quite a lot about Ben Jacobs prior to Ben ever coming on this show. But Ben coming on the show has been a blessing for me because he's a nice guy and he's entitled to his own opinion. And I think the reason I got Ben on this program was because of his opposite view. I felt it was important to have somebody who came on and challenged some of the things that we were saying positively about a takeover that hadn't gone through. And that was the reason I invited him on. Ben, like everybody's got a history, and everyone is entitled to their opinion. But Ben will always be welcome on this channel. For me, it's my channel. Let's remember that, and it's up to me who comes on. And I certainly won't be making any decisions on anyone and I never do in life, because I've got my own opinions about people, and that's the way it should be. But it's only football, Barry. Ben's a great guy, and as I say, I've met him a few times face to face when he's been up in Newcastle. I met him down at Leicester as well when he was down there, and he's actually a really nice fella. But he is a journalist. Remember that. As is Craig Hope, as is Lee Ryder, as is all these other people. They're all journalists. They've all got a job to do. And Jules, I think, made that point eloquently in the chat as well. So yeah. Point made, but I don't like it when people pop something into the chat and, you know, insinuate maybe I should do this and do that. And I'm not falling out with you, Barry, don't get us wrong, but I just felt it was better I said that rather than just replying in the chat. So I hope you understand why I had to make me point about that very, very clearly. Okay, time for the ads. A big thanks to all our sponsors, Skips and Bins. You can find them at their website, skipsandbins.com. Contact them, www.skipsandbins.com/contact. Say hello to low-cost waste disposal with pay-as-you-go and contract waste management. A big thanks to Mr. Vicky's Sauces, handmade in Cumbria. You can contact them at their website, mrvickies.co.uk, email info@mrvickies.co.uk, or telephone 01768 210 102. A big thanks to our NUFC Matters fanzine sponsor, United Group Travel. They are the Travel and Tourism Award winners 2024. 2-crew driver and courier, local family company, 3-star plus quality hotels and no interchanges. All excursions included. Contact them at their website, www.unitedgrouptravel.com, email beverly.ugtl@gmail.com, or telephone 01670 632 460, or mobile 0791 666 4174. There are no strangers on our tours, just friends you haven't met yet. A big thanks to Media Arts for all the technical side of things. And don't forget, we are also a podcast, and you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, or other podcast providers. If you want to help the channel, you can hit the like button, which is the little thumb under each video. You can click the share button to share it to other social media, or subscribe to the channel. Hit the subscribe button and it is for free. We still do 7 shows a week. Hit the join button and you can join the channel for $1.99 a month to help support us. We do promote events on this channel. Derek Wright is holding his official book launch at the Tyneside Irish Centre, 15th of November. Tickets are £22 and that does include a signed book. Tickets are from newcastlelegends.com. Gold Star Promotions and Gateshead Leisure Centre are bringing Lennox Lewis to the area as part of his UK tour. You can get tickets by calling 0191 250 5066. Tickets start at £39. The Long Sands are back in aid of Dementia Matters and being supported by Lilac Lane and the Chris Norris Band. Saturday, January the 4th, 2025. Tickets £15 from newcastlelegends.com or from the Clooney box office. Peter Beardsley will be at the Tyneside Irish Centre on the 10th of January 2025. Tickets are available from newcastlelegends.com or from Woucher. An Evening with the Entertainers takes place at the Tyne Theatre and Opera House the 24th of January 2025. You can buy tickets for that now from the box office 0844 249 1000 or from the website tynetheatreandoperahouse.uk. And the Magpie Lounge is now open at Gateshead Leisure Centre. 7 tokens for £99. Call 0191 250 5066 to book your tickets today. And the first of those tokens will be the 31st of January, an evening with Lee Clark. If you just want to buy tickets separately, call 0191 250 5066. And the book everyone's talking about, The Entertainers, 1992 to 1997, Kevin Keegan's Legacy, is on sale now. The book will be posted out on the 1st of December, written by Will Scott. Over 30 contributors to this book. newcastlelegends.com or Amazon to buy it today. Okay, ask George. George, can I ask which striker would you like to see us sign as the next 2 number 9, says Barry?
Yeah, good one. There's so many being thrown at way in the on the internet at the moment. It's very difficult, but I've got to say, if they wanted to break the bank, I would like to pinch the ex-Manchester City guy from Arsenal, Jesus, they call him. There's something special about the guy, and he's getting really, really fit again by the look of it. And he would fit in our model quite nicely, I think, a bit special. And then go the other way is somebody with a bit of muscle about them to shake things up the middle, which we tend to enjoy. There's 1 or 2 around, but name escapes me at the moment. There's a big lad at Brentford, not Tony. There's another lad.
And Buemo.
Yes,
Tony's gone. Tony's gone. Yeah.
Tony's gone. Yes, yeah. I like his style, and he's got the physicality that goes well with our side as well. So there's 2 names, but I'm sure that if the club are looking, they look far wider than that.
Okay, what's your favourite Western, says George Bainbridge?
Oh, big country. Big country,
there we go. What's your favourite Newcastle game that you've been to, and why? I think you've had that one before, George, but we'll ask it for Tom's sake. Well,
it's difficult to pin it down to one. I've been lucky enough to see so many, but until the Paris Saint-Germain last year in the Euros, it would have been the Barcelona game. I think I said that the last time as well. It was just an electric night with some great skill from the players and an atmosphere that was unbelievable. And I was only there by bumping into an old friend from the club, Charlie Woods, who played for the first team, who said, "You going to the match?" I said, "No, I haven't got a ticket." He says, "Well, you have now," and he gave us a ticket, so we went together. So it made it even more memorable. But that was at the moment. Before that, there were so many cup wins over the years. When we've come back from nothing, particular one against Portsmouth, I think, 2-0 down with 10 minutes to go, and we won 4-2 thanks to Bobby Mitchell. Yeah, they're the things you can't forget. So I've been very lucky. But go back to the original question, and the Barcelona game takes some beating.
Gary Milligan says, "Can I ask George what his favourite Welsh hymn is?"
Welsh hymn, oh, feed me till I have more bread of heaven of Welsh hymn. Yeah.
All right. He did wonder if it was my fanwy, but there we go. And following on from that, Mark Byers says, "Can you ask George what his favourite 5-letter word is, beginning with F and ending with Y?"
Funny with 2 N's.
Thank you, George. That was much better. Oh, come on, George. John Wayne is Hunden Lane and Hondo is the greatest Western.
Nah.
All right. A couple of questions coming in. Gary says, "Hi, lads. Have you heard anything about the PFA court case against the Premier League over anchoring? Surely, if this is right, the FFP is finished." Nothing on that, Stu, Mitch. Have you heard anything? No.
Not much. Not much. No. One thing's for sure, the Premier League at the moment are under siege legally.
Yeah.
There's things coming at them from all angles, and it's all their own doing. They have not applied the rules evenly, fair-handedly, or even at all in a very lackadaisical, not quite make it up as you go along, but certainly with fag packet maths and with a degree of flexibility for those that like and inflexibility for those that don't. And it's all coming home to roost right now because they're open to legal challenge on so many fronts right now. It just doesn't surprise us. Let's
talk a little bit about the infamous WhatsApp messages that have come out over the course of the last couple of days as well, Mitch. Is that a surprise?
It's a non-story. It's a non-story, and it's absolutely a regurgitation of what Liam wrote 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's why things got aerated with Liam and Keith last night. It's quite clear the plan from the Premier League at the minute is to try and destabilise Newcastle United again. So client journalists are now being allowed to run with certain things. I suspect because we've tried to do it nice. I think we've gone to them and said, this is what we would like to do as the rules stand, and it's on us to prove that this is worth fair value. We'd like to go ahead with these, please. We don't want to be a problem to you. We can be part of your solution, and this is the Premier League's response. That's just my gut. I don't know anything of the case, but knowing how they work, and all they will do is eventually push us to breaking point where we have a go. Now, I know everybody wants to do that now, as part of me wants us to do that now, but I don't think that's our owner's style. I think they will take their time and go about everything as properly as they can and be seen to be stand-up and honourable and as fair as they can in the circumstances. I do believe we have a number of things which we'd like to resurrect, and it would be nice if the Premier League just said, okay, look, let's get this one out of the way and go ahead and do what you'd like to do. However, that makes them look like obvious losers in the City APT case, and so they don't want that right now. While they're under legal siege, while they've got people like Nick DeMarco now being called the Premier League's arch nemesis. Fabulous. He needs a cape and a top hat and entrance music and stuff like that, doesn't he? But that's the stupid position they found themselves in, is that they're weak on every page. And the way that story's been regurgitated is misleading at best. Disingenuous, if you want a better word.
Purposely.
Yes, very purposely, Stu. And that's the problem. And it's obvious what the agenda is. There's nothing can be done retrospectively, even if there was anything in it. It's also because Amanda and their dad left the club in the summer the way they did. That's being used that's been weaponized, basically, by mentioning. There's a hint of a suggestion that these WhatsApps have been leaked by Amanda and their dad, which I'm quite sure they haven't. But that's what the press would like everybody to believe, and that tells a nice narrative for the Premier League. And so, if we're back with this, it's not quite the geopolitics of the takeover. It's something much more, much closer to home. But this is the Premier League on the back foot, and they're reeling in everybody they can to try and go on the offensive everywhere they can. And because we're seen as allies to Man City and seen as opposers to the cartel as such, that they are going to use any last little weapon they've got, and they don't have many. And it feels like it's scraping the bottom of the barrel type of regurgitation of the story. The Stu says very deliberately written in a misleading fashion, and it's a non-story. And I know why people get aerated about journalists and have their opinions. I've very rarely shared my personal opinions about individuals because I respect that you have to take them as journalists and treat them as people when you meet them in real life, like I have many of them, including Ben. Because Ben, remember, used to live in Dubai. And we've got many mutual friends out here because Dubai is a village. It's a very small world. But I've never vocalised any opinions other than when I've met him, he's always been straight up and good company. That's simple. I think he has a fabulous way of telling a story, so he presents both sides of the argument, so you can always come back and say, well, as I said, but that's another matter. That's just clever, really. That shows a level of intelligence in there. But I think the way this has been done is very unfair, and it's very deliberate. It's very pointed, and if they poke the bear once too often, they'll suddenly find themselves in a whole world of other legal problems. I've got no doubt about that.
Steve, I'll just add on to that.
Go on, mate.
Mentioned the word smoke screen, and that's exactly what it is. What it does is it deflects the fact that whichever way they dress it up, Man City beat them in that court case, because we've all become experts by listening to Keith. But one thing he's been very consistent on is you just need to win one anti-competition case to win the lot. And it's like it's all bad PR. So that for me, they've referred or they've resorted or turned to the usual suspects, as in journalists who are very, very hypocritical, but they'll lap it up. They'll take anything they can to get the clicks. And the phrase that Mitch just used there, that I was going to use myself, is as if they're trying to entice or poke the bear. That is our owners. And to say, see, these are big, bad people. We've told you that all along. And it's not happening. And it won't happen for a long time until it comes to the point where, because I believe if our owners went for the Premier League, that would be the end of the Premier League as we know it. Yeah. They would smash them to smithereens. So they can afford to sit there. But also from when Mitch said maybe he's, and again, maybe this is from no fountain of knowledge or position of knowledge, where he suggested that we could have possibly said, look, we would like to resurrect these deals in the light of what's happened with Manchester City. It could also be we'd like to introduce new deals as well. And the Premier League are vulnerable. And the amount of times we've referenced them to be, this is a cash cow, and with greed they can eat themselves. But we don't have to mention certain journalists because we shouldn't really give many of them airtime. Ben, I've got a lot of time for Ben. I like listening to him, and as you said, Steve, he's a journalist. He's going to get information from as many sides as he possibly can and run with the story. Now, that might went against Keith, but it didn't. For those who actually listened to what he said last night, it actually helped Keith's case. Yeah. So, in fairness, if we get bona fide information, there's times that we'll use it on your platform. And that's, for me, that's all Ben's done. He's been given information from a source he can say is trusted. Whether it's correct information or not, it's a different matter. And we all know that he was proven wrong, but aren't we happy he's proven wrong? So we shouldn't be gloating saying you were wrong. I'd rather him be wrong than us be wrong, you know, and that's the way we sit. So for me, what's happening with the Premier League is, and again, I'll probably be a bit repetitive to what Mitch has said, is they're getting fired on from every direction. The last thing they need is, instead of these people with the little pistols and Tommy guns having a shot at them, we roll in with the biggest tank the world's ever seen and says, right, we're going to take aim at you. So I think there'll be a lot of cajoling behind the scenes, a lot of play on plays, and then it'll be a case of, look, this is what we're wanting. You've got to help us out a little bit here because we don't want to rock the boat. We've proven since the 7th of October, we've played by every rule. Whether we agree with them or not, we've played by every rule that you've put in front of us, even ones that you made up since we took over, and we give you no trouble whatsoever. But you can't stem the growth, and it's laughable when you have Manchester United's manager saying financial fair play is restricting his team from growing. Well, if they stop wasting 80-odd million on Anthony and 55 million on Mason Mount and the likes of that, then maybe they'll have enough money if they spend it wisely. They would have enough money to play within the rules. So what they're saying is, we've messed up, but we'll keep spending more because we can, but don't let anyone else spend any money.
Yeah.
And that's the bigger picture. So all of this, and I'm really trying not to mention the journalists, but it's the same ones trotting out the same lines and just changing the narrative, and it's all, aren't Newcastle bad? Because they really, really want our owners to go to the Premier League and say, look, we told you so, we told you so. But they'll all take free trips to Qatar and Saudi for the boxing and this, that and the other. So for me, it's a non-story, and it goes down something that we have reiterated many times: ignore them, because there's absolutely no way this takeover can get overturned.
Squashed.
There's no way it can happen. And what people who are pronouncing or pushing this narrative now, you've got to look at who they report on, who they get their clicks off, who they support, and why are they doing it, and then read it, and then think. Then you can see how blinking it is. But thankfully, there's a lot of fan bases that are waking up to something that not just us here on NUFC Matters, but a lot of Newcastle fans have been saying for 4, maybe even 5 years. I know we've been the most vocal and consistent with it, and most accurate, I would say. But there's a lot of fan bases, the Forests, the Villas, the Evertons, they're all come to terms with the fact that we're getting hindered, not helped. And it's designed to protect people more, especially since the European Super League. There was new rules added in to appease people. And then when Newcastle takeover got pushed through, it got proven in court of law to be unlawful. And that is a very strong word, as George will tell you, in any court of law. Unlawful means you are breaking the law. So that was on at least 2 of the rules that they pushed in. So I think our owners have patience, and they will sit back, let the dust settle, and then they'll attack when the time's right. They've got a loaded gun. That doesn't mean have to fire all the bullets at once. So again, we'll be fine.
Al-Walid, has any of this filtered across to Saudi Arabia? The rumors and the talk about Amanda's messages being leaked and stuff like that. Have you been watching that back home?
Well, actually, we know all it's fake news, so actually we didn't care. And as we always say, some of the journalists no new news, so make fake news. So we have nothing to worry about. It's just routine. But usually they do that in the FIFA days. But this is not this time. So nobody cares really.
This is what I like about Al-Walid. He's so laid back. He's horizontal. He's very relaxed. Everybody on Newcastle's
we got the takeover, so the hell with everything else.
Exactly.
If everybody was as relaxed as you on social media, Al-Walid, Newcastle United's timeline would be a much better place. George,
Steve, it shows that they're rattled. These journalists, it shows that they're rattled because it looks like things are falling in our favour. So they'll regurgitate bad stories to try and paint the Newcastle narrative bad.
Revert to type, isn't it? That's what it's called. Yeah, I think you're right. 100%, mate. 100%. Yeah, well said. And George, we will give the final word on this Wednesday night. Geordies here. Geordies there to you. What's your take on all of this?
Well, it's the story behind the story that interests me, and you've all said it. That the story they used is an old one that's been regurgitated and added to and lied about, and made worse. And I've got to say, for anybody, any journalist in this country, to take the moral high ground at the moment about any other country, and I've said to you all before about our own situation. I'd remind you, in early 1980s, when I was sitting as a magistrate, they had just taken the law out of the law books that put girls under 16 who were pregnant in lunatic asylums. That's what we used to do, but folks, where's the morality in that? And where's the morality in us sitting here at home watching bloody bulldozers run over bends and tents in Gaza at the moment? There ain't no moral angle in that at all. We just should get on with it, So, the people that are writing this, and the lads are right. It's the same people that are supporting the cartel who get that clicks off the cartel and all the information and misinformation off the cartel. As I say, I enjoyed Simon Jordan again getting his comeuppance on Talk Sport about what he said, and he said he didn't say it, and I had it on video. Unusually, they showed it, which is wonderful. So it's the story behind the story that interests me, and like the lads say, I I think, like Neil, that they'll poke the bear just once too often, and all hell will let loose. I have a concern though about it. One concern: the person who used to represent us at the Premier League and negotiate and talk to them and was well received isn't with us anymore. So who does that for Newcastle United? We all talk about the people that get the Geordie story, get the Tyneside story, like Rafa and Amanda and others. Who at Newcastle does that now? Please tell me, because I can't see one. So they're the bits that worry me. But as regards the non-story, it's just ridiculous, and they're being shown to be ridiculous because I think last night Liam showed on the programme last night that what a tissue of lies it was. So, you know, as long as if people like Liam can see through it, then you can bet your boots lots of other people can. And unlawful is unlawful. I'm waiting for the day that all the Black Mariahs from Scotland Yard arrive outside the FA and cart Mr. Masters away. That would be lovely.
Okay, great stuff. Thank you guys for joining us. Thanks to Tom, who joined us earlier. Thanks to our lead, Stu, George and Mitch. Thanks to you in the chat. I'm back tomorrow, 6 o'clock with Gibbo. Super Mac, again, still unavailable for selection. And then back with the Amigos, 5 o'clock on Friday. Take care, guys.
Good night,
Cheers, everyone.
Hey, everybody.